You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
What's up, everyone, guys? Welcome back to The Meta Show. Super exciting stuff going on today. We have Markonius Porkbutte of KarmaFleet fame, and if you've ever seen any of the awesome videos he's put out, then you'll know him from that as well. Guys, I'm here again. This is the Mittani as well.
Hello.
Hopefully bringing another exciting show.
And Markonius would be waving, but he's lame and doesn't have a webcam. We actually have all three of us are going to be on for the entire hour today because I'm a rebel. And in theory, we're supposed to bring in our guests only at the half-hour mark, and this is me officially, sanctioning this. But it's been kind of a quiet week in EVE in general, and Markonius is doing a lot of things, not just as the CEO of KarmaFleet, and we were originally bringing him on to talk about the new player experience in EVE Online, because he's an expert in helping new players enjoy EVE and mentoring. But also, he was recently featured in a MMORPG.com, which is a mouthful article by one Stephen Messner. About his work with the Black Hand, which is the infamous Imperium.
Captain Canada.
Yeah. Captain Canada.
Captain Canada.
Oh, he's so sorry. He's so sorry.
And you guys have already managed to break it. No kidding. So, one second. Let me fix that. So, quick shout outs, guys. Quad Raven 420, EXE Villain, Miza Evil, and Viper. Thank you all so much for your resubs. We had 2 10-months, and 11-month, and a 3-month there for the resubs, guys. Thank you so much for the support to the channel.
Well, while Laz wrestles with HypnoKitty, this is actually a great time to pimp Laz's new channel.
Yes.
So one of the things that
manbeardlove.com.
No, it's my myfreecams.com/LazTell.
Oh god. So one of the things that we have noticed as Mittani.com has developed is that we have this excellent channel that has lots of really talented streamers, but when you get a streamer who is really making a go at going full time, because we have scheduled shows and things like that, if you're willing to make the commitment to go pro, which Laz is, you don't really have the bandwidth, right? Like, if you're really trying to start up and found your own channel and get a Twitch partnership, you need to be able to grind. I mean, so Laz is committing to do like Sundays through Thursdays, like 6 hours at a go. And this is awesome. Like, I envision a future where people join and start streaming on Mittani.com's channel, and we teach them everything that our heroes like Laz and DBRB have figured out in terms of best practices, give them that toolkit. And then when they sort of go big, we push behind them as hard as we can to get that channel started up. So just wanted to say this again. We sent a ping about this when Laz started streaming the other day. So Laz actually has, can we put it in chat actually, Laz? Yeah, it is there.
Just dropped it.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's in there. And if you guys can go ahead and follow and support his channel, we kind of want to do this for anybody who's really helped with TMC as a whole and sort of turn it into like a platform for our people. Yeah. Which, so big pimping for Laz there, and this sort of dovetails into the whole upcoming nav bar, which I'm pretty pumped about. Like, we have the big blue nav bar. Our best CSS guy just got back from his holiday vacation, and so I'm hoping that if not this next push on the site, but maybe. So if not this week, maybe next week we'll have the nav bar with the Black Eagle on it. And,
hopefully. So, guys, thank you so much for the follows to my channel, my new channel there, and also shout out to Devilface101 with a new sub, and then Narandis with 11 months, and then Nakasha with the 2 months. Guys, you guys literally just killed HypnoKitty again.
HypnoKitty can't handle the beer.
No.
We're supposed to say yes, we're online to prove that we're actually live, according to Shauna's there.
We are. This is definitely live. Gotcha. All right, so it's fixed now, guys. So we're gonna roll into the nullsec power hour. And there's not too much to talk about. I think the biggest news would probably be Brave is moving back to 0-0. So they've putting on the big boy pants again and moving out of low sec.
Well, I mean, it is good for them. I mean, they're going down to Quirius, right? And so that's sort of that whole area. And part of the reason why things are kind of quiet, I guess, in general, is like the Imperium has sort of all of the taxable money moons in Cloud Ring are now in Imperium hands. We're not really we've been on the warpath for like a month and a half straight, which is actually the longest single extended strategic campaign that we've had since Aegisov went in. Because like when Aegisov first went in Fozisov, we did a couple of like 4-day sprints, right? We went to Providence for 4 days, we went to Cloud Ring for 4 days, just to kind of test how the hell this thing works. And now we're in a situation where we'd been pretty much grinding in Cloud Ring since like early December or something like that, maybe even late November. Like it was just grind.
I think it was November. We've been
yeah,
there
I think
for a
it's
little while now.
Yeah, so like in EVE in general, you can't actually maintain like a full-scale war posture. Like even the Halloween War, like in terms of serious work, really was over and done. Like BR5, I think, was happening. Like it started in Halloween, and then it was early January.
Yeah, January, end of January
so
was
pretty
BR5.
much at the
so.
yeah, pretty but it started slowly. So like full-scale war, I think, was really only like 2 months max. So things are quiet in Imperium territory, and Brave is going to Aquarius, which is good, but we don't really have much news.
No, I mean, like probably the biggest thing that I went and saw was the Test Lines. Test Lines had a big fight where they were actually brought out the Alpha Maelstroms, but they're using Afterburners instead of MWDs, and they actually completely wrecked like a bunch of triumvirate rattlesnakes with it, which Alpha Maelstroms are extremely strong with versus battleships. 120 Maelstroms, Afterburners, so they're a little more. They don't have to worry too much about getting bombed with the Sig Bloom of the MWDs. So it's a little weird because the biggest downfall of Alpha Maelstroms was their slow rate of fire. So it's good to see them actually appear back. I think if you look at the reports and stuff about it, the test lines actually alpha the Pandemic Legion FC off the field, which caused PL to actually have to fall back, which is kind of a big thing.
Who was that FC?
Ipsimus, I believe, in the Damnation.
Gotcha. Ipsimus is, of course, a veteran from the Black Legion days. So, interesting. So, I don't know. It's kind of curious to see how things are playing out in Null as a whole. I think that we're entering a period of wait and see, really. I mean, politically speaking, I think people are still exhausted. Like, there's usually a sprint of people who are playing in a pretty hardcore way. Like, the PCUs actually had a pretty good uptick. I haven't seen them this weekend, but last weekend they were a lot better than we've seen recently.
They're really good again this weekend, too.
Which is excellent. I mean, in general, I think that we've seen the introduction of new ships and a focusing on the core of what the player base is interested in is going to result in more EVE. But people tend to roll pretty hard during the holidays, and I think that now we're seeing sort of people, stepping back. The only real controversy that's going on actually has nothing to do with any sort of art. What are you giggling about, Laz? I see
Sean going like freaking out.
Oh God, what is he freaking out? This is a rerun.
Yeah, because since you read it out and I didn't read it out, I don't know. Let's just roll with it.
You are totally getting trolled at this point. Yeah, somebody is saying, since we are having a brief interruption here, and this is, again, I'm glad that we have Markonius here for the entire show, because this is going to be a lot of us yakking. So there'll be a lot of chat interaction this show, guys. So if you guys have questions about things,
yes, please ask.
This is a great show to ask, because not too much is going on. There is some controversy in CSM land. We can talk about that at least.
There's a lot of interesting parts of space that are developing, though. I mean, I think that the part of space where Test is really interesting to watch. Like, you have Tri, you have a lot of the Russian groups, and they're all sort of, there's like 4 or 5 different groups that all kind of come to a point right there, and they are soft lasering back and forth, and seem to be in fights a lot. It's just not the grand epic scale that we're used to with Dominion Sov, but they are fighting. I mean,
I think that there's that's true. There's definitely a lot going on over there. I think that there's a natural limitation for blocks to get involved in conflicts in the Northeast, because the traditional block powers in EVE Online are naturally resistant to stick their hand in the garbage disposal and turn it on. That is Russian politics, right? You really don't want to get into any kind of engagement seriously in any sort of fight between Legion of Death and other Russians or what have you. It's just sort of bad news that I think that people pause away. Sean is still saying that we're a rerun.
It's true. It's a rerun, guys.
We anticipated all of his comments in chat, and we're just kind of rolling around it.
We're reenacting one of the previous shows.
If we managed to do a fake live broadcast, that would be interesting, because we could do it on a Monday, and then I could party really hard on Friday night and not have to get together and pull myself and get myself vertical on a Saturday afternoon.
We totally could do that thing. Like you could just like record a segment, and then we could play the segment like for 20 minutes during the show, and just like do shots or something.
One of the things that, actually one of the questions that somebody brought up in chat when we were talking about Laz's new channel is that it doesn't have a sub button. And so this is one of the reasons why we're saying that we want people to go to Laz's channel and to follow it and to support him, is that, you need a certain amount of followers, and you need a certain amount of viewers in order to get a sub button, which is something that comes along with being a Twitch partner, right? And so if Laz is going to have a go at being a full-time professional streamer, we need to get behind him and support him and make that happen as quickly as possible. So that's why we're saying go there, follow, support, let's do this.
Yeah. We put a pretty big dent in it already. I mean, I think the first 2 days streaming, I think 350 followers already. So I mean, and that's new followers. So we're almost up to 1,000, and that's first mile
we wouldn't do this if it was just like this is not. I don't want people to get the wrong idea about what we're doing here at TMC. Like this isn't a kind of thing where like somebody can join the Imperium and then do 2 shows on TMC for like a week, and then go make their own Twitch channel and expect this level of support. I mean, Laz has been, one of the primary actors behind the TMC Twitch channel for like a year. Lots of subs, lots of followers, lots of best practices, tons of research. And, when people become, I don't want to call it like an alumni program, but, when you are like a real alumni, when you've given to our community, we want to make sure that everybody gets boosted through this. So
basically what you're saying is you have to serve a tour of duty in the TMC jungle.
Service guarantees citizenship, I guess. Because, a lot of the things that Laz has done have helped teach all of our new recruits as streamers. Right, like we've gotten a ton of best practices and experimentation in this that then helps everybody who comes after him. And of course, he's obviously still hosting the Meta Show and all these other things. But I think it's really exciting. Like the thing about peace, and I'm a big nerd here, so this is my kind of little tangent. The thing about relative peacetime, even if there is like a Russian slap fight in the Northeast, is that it allows you to tinker and do what I call org work, right? Institution building and things like that. And as you can see, it's literally putting Laz to sleep. So
no. I'm dropping frames. And I'm texting my roommate and make sure he's not downloading. So the stream's dropping frames right now. So if you guys noticing a little bit of lag on it, it's on my end. It's not you, it's me.
Oh, I see. And somebody actually, Goblin Ox is suggesting why don't we create a TMC Twitch team or something, and that is a really good idea. So if we end up, so the problem about this is that I will often, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize to Scion here on live TV here, is that I'm about to on live TV make a Trello card, which means that it's serious. Apparently, people were mocking the SMA. State of the Alliance a couple weeks ago because they mentioned that they used Trello as an organizational system, which is kind of like the basic, like Trello was awesome. If you don't like Trello, if you don't like organization, then I'm sorry about your life if you don't have any kind of system to track what the hell you're doing. So I'm going to actually TMC Twitch team, because there is like a support system for that within Twitch, and that's a really good idea. So now there's a Trello card. Ooh.
Oh, right.
Crushing bureaucracy.
People
having to add comments on Trello and using Trello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really stupid though too, because like so many groups use Slack now. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's like a lot of really great apps that integrate with Slack. So I mean, who's bureaucratic now?
Well, no, it's interesting because organization wins wars, but people don't like the Imperium because we win wars due to organization. So organization is bad, and that's really kind of like a baby in the bathwater kind of thing. Please bear with it. Bear with us while Laz deals with his roommate and the frame dropping. That's
just punch him.
Yeah, so we're basically working on a lot of things like that, and somebody's saying poke Laz and Alex on.
He was talking to the TMC Twitch team thing. That's what he was referring to when he said.
Okay. I wasn't sure whether Shaunosaurus was still wondering whether we were.
No. I think he's moved on from that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But no, Slack and Trello are amazing tools. They actually came out recently with Discord as well, which is like a gamer's version of Slack that has like voice comms and stuff built into it, which is interesting.
Somebody is saying, did you get my message about the I Want Iska using your content on his stream?
Yes, we did. It was in regards to the Open Comms show thing.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll deal with that later. The I Want Isk thing is like a big scandal that's been sort of simmering for a while, and we have a couple of articles in production on TMC to be able to discuss that.
That's actually a big thing. You should explain what that is, because I'm a bit confused about how it all has gone down.
Well, there's been a fair amount of metagaming involved, which is a nice segue into when we talk about the Black Hand in a moment. But I actually don't want to spoil it because I've looked into it there's been a lot of interesting things happening. The I1ISK thing was being handled primarily through it's like this war between SMA and I1ISK, and there's a lot of people with a lot of leaked sound clouds that weren't actually intended to be basically false leaks, intentional leaks, and there's so much false flagging happening there that I think it's a really good time for us to do a Black Hand recruiting drive because there's a shitload of metagame things happening or surrounding the I1ISK, and there's going to be, I think, a bunch of articles. And whenever there is a big scandal involving the metagame, usually multiple sides will try to convince everybody of the truth of what happened. And so I'm looking forward to endless debate in the comment section and in general with people saying, oh, that's not how it really happened. Oh, you're listening to Imperium propaganda. Oh, no, it was this or whatever. Which is a shitstorm. There's a banking site, and from what I understand, I was informed by somebody that a large number of the I1ISK bankers were banned for RMT or banned pending investigation or what have you, and SMA is stealing ISK from these guys, and they're saying that they're declaring war on SMA and destroying SMA and all this stuff. And I listened to this hilarious SoundCloud from some guy that where he was saying that he had heard rumors that I being the Mittani, was really unhappy with SMA, and that at any moment SMA was going to get kicked out of the Imperium or something, when SMA has actually militarily been going from strength to strength, right? If you actually look on the field, besides, I think what's happened is that the guys who we were kicking the shit out of in LoSec started doing blops drops, Tissue started doing blops drops on SMA and Fate, and is running around on Reddit trying to act like, oh, I killed a ratter, we're killing SMA, SMA is going to be destroyed at any moment because they lost everything else. So now we're in that sort of situation. But, SMA is not in any kind of bad esteem or in any kind of trouble. We've talked on this show repeatedly about how strong of a showing SMA had at Vegas. So whatever. There's a whole bunch of lies and accusations, just bullshit flying around the I1ISK thing. And,
well, that's kind of the importance of playing the metagame, and especially having a spy in a hostile corporation or alliance, is because a lot of times people are putting on a false face where everything's fine, or these guys are really the ones that are doing this and we're all innocent over here and we're not doing anything. And what's important about the spy metagame is it's a really excellent way to get a temperature read on how other groups are doing in the face of whatever they're going through. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I'm glad that we have Noisy Gamer here in chat. Actually, it's tough because his blog is Nosy Gamer. It's a fantastic blog. If you guys haven't checked it out, we should probably link it in chat for people. Somebody can find that. But he really keeps track of RMT probably better than basically anybody in the game that I've ever seen. And he's also, subtle plug, shameless plug, he's also a regular attendee at the Madison Monthly Eve Meet with Mittens, which takes place at the Atomic Koi in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, and is going to be happening on this upcoming Thursday, which will be the third Thursday of every month. We all get together. He doesn't always make it out, but when he's there from Chicago, it's awesome.
Well, I just dropped the link in the chat for you guys as well.
He has a great blog. And so he was able to provide better information. One of the reasons why I didn't want to speak with too much authority on the I1ISK thing is that I have been following it and sort of, oh, this is happening over here, or this is happening over there. And when you have a situation where multiple people are writing articles about it, there's a lot of research that needs to be gone through. So I know that Matterall is writing an article for TMC about it. He's investigating it. Hopefully, Noisy Gamer will also do his own analysis if he hasn't already. And I know that the SMA guys are running as well. So there's a lot of scandal brewing, which I think will be hilarious for everyone. We haven't had a good, proper, metagame dissection, RMT casino scandal type thing.
Well, at least they're real.
I'm all excited. I'm visibly
excited. You just saw your eyes sparkle right there.
This is the good shit, right? This is why I got into EVE in the first place. Was not so much casinos, secret shareholders, right? This is the reason why I got into EVE. Obviously, it's about yacht parties and RMT scandals now. Well, but we got into EVE because of the metagame of the spying. So here you have a thing where people are infiltrating one another, who is actually infiltrating who, is with this person or that person a double agent. I think it's going to be ridiculous.
Well, and from chat, I'm not sure what he means, maybe you guys understand, could TMC maybe have a shout out for non-monetary support, list of needed skill sets, etc.? What do you mean, Caleb? Can you
I can answer this, because this is also a shameless plug opportunity. So, as you guys know, TMC is sort of going through transition because we decided, screw everything, we're going to put a Black Eagle on it. The Imperium has seen the new navbar comps that Matterall Null has produced, and we're going for the blue on blue one, which got the most votes, it looked like. And also because all of our web designers told us that if we didn't do blue on blue instead of like the gray and red, that just apparently blue is better for website design, and we should do that. So we're working on getting that in there, and as part of being the unashamedly biased whatever voice of the Imperium sort of site that we're becoming, we're seeing lots of our graphics and things shift over. So how can you help out? On Imperium Jabber, you've seen our pings going out through Goonswarm that we have a recruiting thread saying what we're looking for. If you'd like to support the site in a non-monetary way, obviously helping our alumni, right? I've already asked people to help follow Laz's channel. But on top of that, we're desperate for coders, basically. One of the things that we really want to be implementing here to help things out, and we do have, we have ways to make it worth people's while. We are looking to have, especially Drupal people. Drupal is kind of a hard skill set. Front-end devs are always useful, and ideally I would really love to find somebody who has experience with split testing. Writers, streamers, all these things. If you want to write, you can apply. If you want to stream, you can reach out to us. These are all, get in touch with Scion sort of thing, or use the site's contact us forum to.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Good. Very good. We are a classy enterprise here. But yeah, that's how you can help out, is that we're really looking for coders, front-end devs, Drupal people. We're really looking for people who understand split testing, multivariate testing, A/B testing, whatever you want to call it, using Google Analytics. In terms of streamers, we're definitely looking for more streamers, assuming that you are providing interesting and engaging content for our community. Writers as well. We don't care whether you hate our guts in the Imperium or not. Like, if you're writing interesting content, we will publish it. So when we say that we're being the voice of the Imperium, that doesn't mean that we're not going to print anything critical of us, because we screw up all the time, right? But we're trying to get away from the whole space CNN thing, where we're all neutral and bloodless and boring. So yeah, there you go.
All right. So moving into moving into some more Eve news, guys. Going to swap into CCP, please, and talk a little about the chaos stuff that's been data mined. So on the chaos server, it's nothing official yet, guys. This is all stuff that people saw, which Chaos is one of the development servers. The command destroyers, some of the things that we've seen is no more low sec blinking. So you can't actually use command destroyers in MJD and low sec is what I read from that. That's what it, like. This is secondhand information I got from someone else that saw it. But then their blink chaining still works, but you can't use it in low sec. But it's not official changes. So if that's the case, then on grid bonuses are going to be ridiculously, or off grid bonuses are going to be ridiculously overpowered still, and be sitting on every single.
That's really interesting, because I mean the time that I think that's basically what happened there is that we so utterly obliterated that Snuffbox Makarial fleet by using the command destroyers to jump their Logi away and then just murder them all. What's curious about this, though, is that with Citadels coming in, so now we're actually kind of getting into gritty mechanics. If they do nerf command destroyers such that they don't work in low sec, and Citadels are sort of coming in, one begins to ask oneself the question, which is, you have two models of nullsec power staging, basically. One is the traditional, you have a capital system like a CJ6 or in the past a VFK or a YAO, and then you have essentially the more elite PvP, the PL model, right? The Iceberg Alliance model is my terminology for it, where you have a low-sec staging system in a place like Amamake, and you use your network like Fury Road with wormholes, or in the past their Sinonet to get around. If one of the challenges that we've seen in nullsec in terms of staging is that it's very easy for people to, use MJD destroyers to just bounce people who are undocking off, kill them. If they do implement this, one begins to wonder, what are the advantages of staging in nullsec at all, as opposed to having a staging point that is on the border of low and null? So, I don't know. I mean, I think that would be hilarious. If they implement that, then I'm kind of like, okay, well, we have all the space in the northwest. Why don't we just kind of...
let's move to Onanen or something, right on the border, and just jump back and forth.
Because, I mean, the thing about low-sec is, since it's dense, right? The territory is dense in terms of light year range, so you can actually get around the wheel of nullsec behind it much more effectively by having a staging area, taking a few jumps over here, and then jumping out of low-sec than it is to bother with the sort of long edge of the racetrack in null. So I'm going to be pretty excited to see that. And, Curious.
Yeah,
Curious.
It's there's so many different little changes that it makes it where it's not really worth living in nullsec right now, and hopefully, theoretically, Citadels and stuff supposed to help fix that. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, if they do implement a system where Citadels are destructible, Citadels are obviously intended from the gates, from out of the gates to be destructible. But if they do implement some sort of system of destructible stations in the longer term, the risk-reward balance in general, we would predict that we would see destructible outposts in nullsec long before we saw NPC stations be at any kind of risk in low or in high sec. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, I think that we might see, strategically speaking, more traditional soft-holding null alliances having their military staging points be Amamake style, low sec base stations, rather than sticking around in like a YAO. Not that I'm thinking about this or anything at all. Not at all. Clearly, this is not on my mind whatsoever, since the Imperium has figured out that low-sec is not such a scary place at all if they're going to buff it even more. I think we just, the stream just went black entirely. Oh, no,
It's back. It's, yeah, like it's bouncing between perfect and no, 1 second. I'm actually, no, I'm going to stop it and then just restart it on a different.
Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it live?
Yeah, doing it live.
As best as I can, which is convenient. But
I just pressed the start button again. It should be coming up in a second.
Unwatchable, to be honest. So like,
it's running again, and it doesn't look like it's dropping frames anymore. So everything should be okay. Yes, no, yeah. You guys can hear us? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh God.
We're back.
All right. Sweet. All right.
We have restarted.
Yeah, so apparently Twitch is having some issues with their Miami server. So now we're on the Virginia server, and everything should be good to go.
Okay, well...
it looks like
because we're in the heart of the South, and they build stuff right down there.
Exactly.
The idea of... I'm afraid that we jinxed ourselves and spoke too soon, but the idea of Virginia being the heart of the South is something that every proper Southern gentleman might be a little bit confused about if you hail from the deep South. I mean, if you're from Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia, I'm not really... I mean, Virginia is a perfectly fine location. I lived in Virginia for many years, but...
oh, God. That's a really good Robert E. Lee impersonation.
Well, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, actually, so I have the ability to swap into plantation English.
We share that in common. Like I went to school in Birmingham for a long time for university. And
what else just happened? That was terrible.
That's excellent.
I think they're gonna want you to do all of your State of the Union speeches like that.
Mittani needs to DM a D&D campaign.
Doing a State of the Union speech in like proper Southern gentleman. So, my people, I've gathered you here today to discuss how we must twist the knife and destroy our enemies. They are coming for us. And if we simply louse about the house, if we are laggards, if we are drunkards, if we do not rally ourselves together to be able to handle this external threat, I mean, they will show no mercy. There will be nothing, no human kindness that we could expect from our foes.
That's perfect. Wow.
Oh man. Yeah, but like I said, Anna said you need to go. We need to DM a D&D campaign, which what DM is Dungeon Master. I think
somebody says that is the most aristocratic Alabama accent I've ever heard. Alabama is kind of a funny place, like particularly Birmingham. There's a couple. I grew up in a little town. It's not much of a town that has 20,000 people in it over the mountain in Birmingham, and with those 20,000 human beings, there were 3 country clubs.
Yeah.
So basically, that's not like where I was born, but
that is the Mountain Brook.
Yeah, sounds like where I live.
Yes. So pretty much, it was pretty much Mountain Brook or Vestavia, your 2 choices for the last bastion of the Old Dominion and the old plantation.
It's really
for the war of northern aggression. I mean, the attempt to. I mean, I hated it. I despised it. I left as soon as I graduated high school. I was like, "Fuck this," and I don't really go back there much because,
it's Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, Birmingham is a great place for if you like Birmingham. It is fantastic. So it attracts the sort of people who really like Birmingham. So if you don't fit in or you don't want to fit in, you kind of get out.
So guys, if you haven't already talked in chat, guys, please go ahead and type in chat. We're going to be doing the giveaways now. We got three Pirate Rookie ships to give away if you do win, you have to be following the channel. If you're not following the channel, you cannot win. And you need to message the channel, the Mittani.com channel, with your in-game character name and which pirate rookie ship you want. So I say we're doing a 3 rolls. So if you type in chat, we're going to roll into that in just a second. Everyone's spamming. Holy God.
Excellent.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, wait until the spam stops, rather.
Yes.
All rigged all the time.
Okay. And also looks like we also got a $3 donation from Rip Jasper. Thank you so much, Rip Jasper, for the support, man.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay. We're going to buy a yacht with that, let me tell you.
All $3?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be a small yacht. Maybe it'll just be sort of a model.
But what are we going to use for gas money?
That's a good question.
And beer.
Okay. So, let's see. We were talking about the Command Destroyer thing before we got distracted with stream hijinks and Birmingham and the appreciation of the Old Dominion. But that's basically it. Besides, well, we can talk about the CSM politics. I think that is the last remaining item before we get into talking to Porkbutte about KarmaFleet and about the new player experience. So CSM application period is open, and there have been changes to the white paper of the CSM, which have raised no small amount of controversy because apparently they were not really discussed in any way or just sort of slipped in there. I'm not really sure on the deal. I haven't really been paying too much attention to it. But from what I understand, there's some confusion about whether members of the gaming media and the idea of the gaming media has not been defined in this process. Is TMC gaming media? Are you, as a YouTuber or a blogger, if you're writing about EVE, are you gaming media? What counts for this, and are you eligible for the CSM? Which is kind of curious. I mean, it's sort of an interesting change that has raised a lot of difficult questions. And I think probably next week we'll end up having somebody on to have like a big CSM drill into it discussion. Do we have time to do some giveaways?
Oh, we do. So we're going to roll in right now. Doing the first roll, it's going to be Digitasae. Nailed it. Digitasaeh. You've won, man. Make sure you message the channel. Thanks for the follow, and send us your in-game character name with which of the 4 rookie ships you want. Next one's going to be Stalwek80, follower and a subscriber, man. Thank you so much for the support. Do the same thing. Make sure you message us with your with what you want. And then Socksbon, also a subscriber, man. Thank you so much, man. Always rigged all the time.
All rigged all the time.
Speaking of which, just got a new sub, Eric Asmock with new sub, as well as got a donation from Jim J, which it pops up on the screen. I missed it.
He wants to ask you when the Spring Vegas trip is, and he also wants to ask about Barana's application to the CSM because he's trying to get her to run because that's going to be pretty hilarious. Swordicus is saying in chat, and I imagine Swordicus means Sword Dragon.
Yeah, Sword Dragon.
Term has been really hard as a CSM.
Hi, Sword Dragon.
What's curious about this is that we actually do have, there's another summit coming up, right? And relations between the CSM and CCP have just completely broken down, right? Like openly on blogs and in channels. I saw a comment from Thoric Frosthammer, who's the leader of LAN, posting in a response to somebody's blog the other day that I completely forgot about, basically saying that at this juncture it would probably just be better for, it would be more honest if CCP just shut the CSM down. And whenever you have people who are on the CSM basically going, this is completely ridiculous, what the hell, that's kind of a bad sign.
Well, let me give you an example of like how awful it is, just in terms of like what we deal with. Like when you run a newbie corp or a corporation that deals with new players, people ask you a lot of times for, you know, your thoughts, your experiences, like ways CCP can help new players out. And I've been asked over the course of the last year running KarmaFleet, I've been asked like 3 or 4 times to give my thoughts about it. And this last time I finally just turned it down. Going back, there was something that we had put together a long time ago, and one of the things that we had recommended was like increasing the SP and stuff for starting players. Well, there was no word from CCP about that. Like, oh yeah, whatever. And then there was a Reddit post by I think Apothny or somebody saying like, hey, like we should give new players more SP when they start out. And like CCP Falcon like responded, and like CCP devs were on the post saying, yeah, we'll look into that. And so it's kind of interesting in this case, like there is like a new player thing that really came about because of Reddit, and yet, you know, they asked for our feedback, like CSM asked for our feedback and stuff for these kinds of changes, and they just seem to fall on deaf ears. So, I mean, I don't think the CSM is very worthwhile at this point. I mean, I don't. It seems like it's the worst job in EVE Online to be a part of.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a tough thing. So one of the things that's been interesting to me is, during speaking of Reddit and all that, is it's been interesting to see where a lot of the Reddit hate mobs over the last month and a half came from. And we discovered that many of the people who were involved with that were actually hanging out on TweetFleet Slack in the CSM channel there, which is run by Gorski Carr, who is also claiming to be functionally the head mod of REVE, who is now, is he now in the CSM? He is now in the CSM. So that's kind of interesting, because getting in there and watching them and watching him talk and watching him interact with people, I'm like, oh, this is where it's been coming from. That's fascinating. So I've been around and keeping an eye on things, and it's curious to me. Ultimately, the CSM is what you make of it, right? But in this case, you have a member of the CSM who's a moderator of the TweetFleet CSM channel, who's also the head mod functionally of the REVE thing. And so he has an incentive to try to delegitimate the CSM, which has other voices, and have more feedback be focused on Reddit, which of course has a lot of challenges associated with it that many other gaming companies have encountered. But I'm not sure how public the white paper the changes have been, because I haven't really been following this, because I don't CSM. I inflict CSMing upon the people within my organization who...
Well, it doesn't really seem like it's that effective. I mean, if the changes happen, and that means like groups like Crossing Zebras or, Eve News 24 can't put reps from their sites on there, or if TMC and Polygon or whoever else can't put reps on there. Like, I mean, that's all in all, I think it matters very little. I think that people have been using the CSM way too long to just push their little like gameplay agenda, and it's not really about.
I don't think that they necessarily realize how it works. I mean, the funny thing about the CSM is that the CSM in many ways, and particularly again like watching in CSM Slack and TweetFleet, is fascinating to me, because you get to sort of see real time a lot of what you'd see in the posts back in the day. So when I ran for CSM a couple times, you'd see people who have what I could only describe as relatively naive political understandings about how human behavior works. And so somebody was talking the other day about how the CSM should be more transparent, or how this particular CSM member was better than all the others because they were more talkative. And I sort of asked him questions just to draw him out and be like, well, what do you mean talkative? Like, why is that good? And it was something to the effect of like, well, they communicate more in blogs and things like that. I'm like, okay, well, if somebody is known for constantly blogging everything that they say to the public in the name of transparency, is that actually more effective or less effective for them to be able to reach out quietly to other outside experts and build coalitions and actually affect change? And so there's a lot of this. I tend to describe these things as the is versus ought conflict, right? It's a fallacy of how something is and how it actually operates versus how something ought to be. And people have a lot of oughts when it comes to any kind of deliberative democracy context. Whenever there's an election, people have these ideas about how they should elect people, and then those people should be accountable, which is good, but everything should be transparent. And then suddenly there's going to be magically, people are going to have consensus and everybody's going to agree and the right thing is going to happen, which has worked out really well over the history of democracies, as we've seen in the modern Western world. Like democracy, representative democracy is good, but you don't really see the sort of high school ideals of how government works actually translate into effective governance anywhere.
I mean, some of the CSMs actually do take back channels too. I've had CSM members message me before for me to explain certain fleet mechanics. Or
they do. Like, yeah. They have to. I mean, they have to be able to feel free to outreach. But the person who is doing back channels is not going to say, I didn't know anything about this, so I reached out to this person, this person, this person. Right. They can't put that on a blog. So if people are saying, oh, you're only a good CSM if you're blogging everything that you're doing. Right. Then the people who are actually doing a lot of stuff, but it by nature is hidden, get crapped on, right?
Well, there's also, what are the risks, though? I mean, like, in a democracy, like, you have that in place because there are not really that many great alternatives to it. And I mean, this is a video game, and the governing system of whether it's a corporation or alliance or the CSM, like, what are the stakes here? It seems to me that it functions more as just a public relations thing than any sort of actual useful, like, let's get feedback kind of thing. I think that because it's the popularity contest to get there in the first place. So, like, if it's a popularity contest to get there, then, how good is that feedback going to be? And so I think the CCP is right to reaching out to Reddit and some of the larger communities to get a wider source of feedback, because they know they're getting a very filtered, very small selection from the CSM.
That's a reasonable argument. One of the things that's kind of funny here is in chat we have somebody named Okulu who is saying that the CSM getting ignored by the CSM getting ignored by CCP has nothing to do with someone leaking the NDA stuff, and it's all a Reddit Gorski car conspiracy, being sarcastic. What's funny about this is that every single CSM has had a leak, that pretty much every single one has had somebody booted off the CSM or what have you. And thus, if you're thinking in a data-based way around facts, you see this pattern here of good relations have taken place between the CSM and CCP, and change has been effective in past CSMs, even in the presence of people leaking it. That is not unique to the current one. So thus, if leaks are not uniquely what is taking place, something else is at play. But that doesn't really fit within the appropriate popular line of people who want to be fact-free. Yeah. So,
well, before we run out of time, I know Markonius Porkbutte in particular wanted to hit on some of the new player experience.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I mean, like I said, when running a newbie-friendly corp, we do get hit up for stuff on how to change or make the new player experience better. KarmaFleet's a lot different. Sometimes people try to compare us to Pandemic Horde or Brave or whatever, but I mean, we're not our own alliance. We're part of Goonswarm, and we're very proud of that. And as part of an alliance, we are a little bit more selective about who we let in and stuff. But for the new players we do let in, we can kind of validate our actual real newbies. We notice that they have a lot of struggle with kind of getting over this first couple of hours in game. And when we talk about the new player experience, we kind of tend to just throw anything under like that first couple of months in game as like part of the new player experience. But what I want to define as what I'm talking about is like the first couple of hours in the game when you're using the opportunity system, when you're like trying to figure out what the hell this game is. And I think that's really where we're failing. If you were to go and roll an alt, like a spy alt, for instance, and try to get through the beginning part of the game without giving yourself ISK somehow, it's very hard. Try to get through the game by like pretending like you don't know anything and just off of reading the opportunities suggestions, and it's very hard. And I think that it's discouraging a lot of people from sticking with it. And the people that do stick with it, a lot of them say, okay, well, this game wants me to like go off and make ISK and mine asteroids and run missions, so that's what I'm going to do. And then they get all mad when somebody like Goonswarm comes along and like ganks their mining ship. Now, if you're like me, you're going to gank the mining ship and then also offer them an invitation to KarmaFleet where they can come out and learn and mine and do all that PvP in relative harmony. But a lot of people, they get really turned off by that. In fact, like the top comment on that MMO RPG article about spying, about how I like it because it's a way to win the game without fighting fairly. And they're like, that's what I hate so much about EVE Online, is somebody can just gank you in your mining ship, and that's not fair. And I was like, but the problem in all of this is that none of that is explained in the NPE. This first couple of hours in game, none of that is explained. And I've read CCP Rise's comments, who's like, I think one of the lead developers on that whole team, and like their whole philosophy is, well, it's a sandbox, and so we want people to just find out for themselves. Well, that's great and all, but they're going to get very frustrated very fast. I mean, just do the new player experience with the opportunities. It brings you to a point where it feels like you have to move forward, and you can't move forward. So you hit these walls like all the time. And so in a lot of games, like that doesn't happen, and they have like a lot of safety rails and padding, and they show you how to play, but it's just, anyway, I think if they want to fix it, they need to address what a player experiences in the first like hour that they're dropped in the EVE Online.
One of the things that I saw in chat here is from Hornetron saying that the sad truth is that KarmaFleet has one of the worst reputations in Goonswarm, which is because they're mostly new players, which is actually just total bullshit because Goonswarm is based on worst reputation within GSF being seen as noobs. I'm hoping that he's referring to that from an outside puppy perspective that we don't care about, because internally speaking, that's simply not the case. I mean, Goonswarm has always been based around new players, period. I mean, Goonfleet is based upon newbies and rifters, basically. We've gotten old, but we're still a newbie-based organization, fundamentally. So regardless, I mean, I guess it might be an external reputation thing. Like, we don't really care.
We do have a really bad reputation externally.
Like, we don't care about external reputation, because people who are not our people people. People who are not our community are usually the ones trying to hurt our people, trying to destroy our community, and especially when they're going, oh, well, we're just concerned on your behalf. We're just trying to, warn you that you have a bad reputation, so you can go to another organization. They might not let you in.
Oh, well, my favorite one is that we force our players to fly with mini love to pad our kill board. Like I give a shit. We apparently have the #2 highest kills in the game right now as far as corporations.
Oh yeah.
And people are like, oh, that's because you force your players to gank freighters to pad your kill board. It's like, I don't give a shit. Like, my players can go out and lose like 29 ratting carriers in a week. I don't care. Like, that's on them. I mean,
that's Darwinism, right? People have to lose things in order to learn. That's another thing that people, I don't think, understand about the way in which, at least within Goonswarm, not necessarily within the wider Imperium, but the way that we roll in Goonswarm is like, you have to fail to learn, right? Like, we know a lot more about Kickstarters than we ever have before, because we failed. Like, whenever we launch anything new, we fail, right? And you fail, and you learn, and you suffer, and you draw lessons from that, and then you do it again, and you incorporate what you learned. And so that's how it is. Like when people lose ships and things like that, that's not really a problem. We actually have, just as a minor tangent here, we have Gorsky Carr apparently is Hakarn here in chat and is attempting to justify that the CSM is actually working just fine, and don't allow people like Scion, and don't say that there are toxic people on the CSM. It's just a few, and which is really funny when you're in charge of an organization of people that is riling up hate mobs for internet justice, and you are admitting that you are the head moderator functionally for that kind of organization. The level of hypocrisy that comes from that is really impressive, but it's nice to know that we know what is going on now. There's a name and a face to it, such that people can't simply say, oh, it's just a mob on Reddit and I didn't know what was going on, because as a moderator, along with Durher, I think that you share a responsibility. And I'm glad that you're here to talk about the CSM. And
well, I think it's interesting. I hope that he can put that on his resume, because it sounds really impressive if you're the head mod of like a gaming community. I mean, I think it sounds cool.
A gaming community, that's right. We're calling it a community. Insisting on it. I think it's a platform, but that is a matter of debate. I think that well, if you're a head mod,
self-appointed
mod, I don't know.
But it's just an interesting perspective that we get. So like KarmaFleet was started after I had just finally enough with Brave and decided to go off and basically do Brave in Goonswarm, thanks to you guys' invitation. And it really, like, everything that I wanted to do inside Brave, I'm doing right now in KarmaFleet. So like basically everything that I was working really hard to do, like in Brave to support new players, like all of our social welfare programs, space communism, like all of that, we're now doing 100% successfully inside Goonswarm. So, like, to that degree, I think it's been a really great success. There's definitely ways we can improve, but overall, I mean, I'm really super happy about the direction everything's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that having basically like institutional support for newbies is very important, and the kind of institutional support can actually only come from a real community, right? Not a platform, but an organization where you have people, where you have leadership, where you have institutions, right? So much of what we learned in the early days of Goodfleet, KarmaFleet has in many ways done better than us, right? Because you guys aren't leading the alliance per se, you spend all of your time, like you and Merkelchen, do so much work in improving things for your newbies. So in a lot of cases, we find best practices from KarmaFleet and we yoink them and promulgate them across the entire alliance. But being able to give newbies reimbursement, give them free ships, give them mentoring, give them guidance, give them a cohort. So it's not I think that having a cohort is very important, right? So as a newbie, if you're a normal EVE player and you're not part of a community to begin with, if you're not in KarmaFleet, if you're not in Goonswarm, you come in as an individual, and maybe you have a mentor, right? But you're not really part of like a class of newbies, right? So you're not like, I'm in like my newbie training academy and I've got 20 or 50 other guys and we're going on fleets together, and we have Gooniversity to teach people and a curriculum and things like that. You saw that to a smaller scale with EVE University, which is part of the reason why I think.
Let me cut you off right now because in chat, Rasmuth, but you're doing it a service to say you want to help noobs and then contribute to enforcing your gameplay on them. And like Porkbutte said, like what, 2 minutes ago. Like, they don't force you to do anything. Like, in KarmaFleet,
you're putting a gun across the internet to tell you what to do. Because the Imperium has structure. No, we don't. Like, we don't even have, like, we have basically.
There's classes. There's free ships. I mean, there's fleets going out all the time. There's
do this. And how do we force people to stay? We can't force anybody to do anything. I love this kind of idiotic propaganda from our enemies. It's fantastic. People are like, "Oh, you're forcing people to do this." It's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. In fact, what you're saying doesn't even stand up under the most basic examination. Because if you're forcing a newbie to do something, they would leave. If they were connected to people, they would complain about it. Everybody would hear about it. And also, if if you could magically force people to do things over the internet, other people would have done it already.
Yeah, I mean, like, the only democracy in EVE, like, I don't know if it was you or Scion who told me this, but the only democratic function
is voting with your feet.
Yeah, people vote by logging in and staying in your corporation. That's the only democracy that there is. So, like, as long as people are logging in and staying in KarmaFleet, like, we're going to keep trying to improve on what we're doing. Should people, like, just drop out suddenly and we start, like, going down, then, yeah, I'm going to work really hard to figure out what's going on and to get to the bottom of it to improve things. But, like, all of the data that we have says that we're doing pretty good. I mean, all of the crap that was going on in Reddit, because of the Kickstarter war that we fought so bravely in the beginning. I was banned from Reddit for a while. Like, it was crazy. It's casualties.
But I thought that was an important community, and that Gorski shouldn't be held responsible for anything that happens there, because.
I mean, it's just interesting, like. Overall, just how people just try to write their own narratives. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, like,
just watching people telling you that, you deserve props for running a corp in this way, as if from an outside perspective. Now, you deserve a ton of props. Like, KarmaFleet has been fantastic, but there's this idea, and I think what infuriates people about the Imperium in general is that when we get here and we talk about things that KarmaFleet is built or enabling gameplay of a certain sort, is that because we are a very strong community, an actual community, people get angry from the outside that we don't care about their opinions, and that their opinions of what we're doing doesn't matter. It's sort of a for us, by us thing, and that's unusual in EVE, and that drives people up a goddamn wall. That they can't, they can't point their fingers and say, I disapprove of what you're doing, and that's bad, and you should care what I think, even though I'm either your enemy or just not with us or want to see us destroyed.
I mean, majorly though, like statistically speaking, if you look at the players that start EVE and then quit EVE, like it's huge. It's a huge slope towards the people who started playing by themselves, didn't bother trying to find a group or anything, just try to do their own things, learn everything by themselves. Like, those people quit the game. Like, the rate of, like, just getting burned out and, like, just information overload is just so much higher.
9 out of 10.
Yeah,
I think. But yeah, like, well, here's interesting tidbits. So the thing that I probably struggle with the most is trying to find that balance, right? We get sometimes complaints about how, I can't find a place to fit in because you're too big, and I don't feel like I'm important, and I don't feel like I matter because there's just so many other players. And that's actually something that I feel is really common, that makes lower, like, smaller groups viable, because people want to only, like, hang out with a couple of people, and being in comms with 100 other people is just stressful. I get that. Like, we're introverts, we're extroverts, who cares? But the thing that I don't understand about that is, like, it's kind of like the argument of, well, I want to go to a small liberal arts school, or I want to go to a massive university. I mean, both have their merits, but if you go to a larger one, then you have more opportunities to do a bunch of different things, whereas if you go to a smaller one, you're just going to do the thing that they're into, and then if you lose interest or you don't get along with them anymore, then you have to start finding another place to go. Whereas if you lose interest or something in a large group, there's usually somewhere else you can go within that group and still have fun. So
I don't think they realize that there's so many opportunities. That's the thing, is that looking from the outside, people will see that, like, the Imperium is this monolithic organization, or KarmaFleet or Gunwaf or Megacorps, but we solved the problem of Dunbar's number. What you're talking about, the idea is being able to have a small group of people that you can run around and do things with. Is we have squads and SIGs and things like that, such that every member in the Imperium is not really part of just their monolithic organization.
The SIG thing is so hard for people to comprehend, though. Like, I cannot tell you,
they can't
like,
get it from the outside.
I can't tell you how many apps I've seen where people are like, I really want to join KarmaFleet because then I want to use it as a stepping stone to get into Gunwaf one day. And that's just kind of like, are you serious? Why do you want to? Those guys are terrible. but they don't understand that you can fly with everybody in the alliance because of the SIG system. And so we could improve how we communicate that, but overall it's just like I read on the Brave Newbies subreddit the other day, somebody who came to us from Brave was complaining that they don't feel as part of a community in Goonswarm like they did in Brave, but they like our SRP.
But
so like, I was like, so you're okay with like the stuff we provide, but you just don't like us. I mean, that's a fair critique. But like, we're not gonna, goons are goons. Goons are gonna goon, and it's not for everybody. But I mean, we do our best to try to like provide a lot of different gameplay elements and a lot of different support for people doing those things. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, Mark, I want to go out to Losec and deploy with some dudes for the weekend," I'll be like, "Yeah, here's $1 billion ISK. Go buy some frigates and blow up faction warfare nerds. Like, have fun."
Or if they want to get down with that real shit, they can always join Whole Squad, which is my shameless plug. Absolutely.
So many different groups that you can join at the Imperium and in Goons in general. So guys, we're actually out of time for the day. I'm so sorry we have to end things here. Quick shout out to Urandus with the $5. My Laz and Elise fanfic was taken down from our Eve. The conspiracy of Laz and Elise being secret lovers must be uncovered.
Oh, well, I didn't think that was a conspiracy. I thought that was just like judging for Vegas. I think that was just open knowledge.
Open knowledge.
That's just what it is.
It's kind of one of the
we only shared a bed for a few days. Come on. And then also 8-month resub from Eternal. Thanks so much for the resub and the support, guys. So, guys, coming up next is the Boat Show. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. Shout out to CCP and Blue Microphones for supporting the stream here and helping us make a better show for you guys. And then also, I think that's it. Markonius, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you guys next week. The Boat Show.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Bye.